They don't need to come for you with weapons anymore. Not when they've already walked through your front door every time you went to the grocery store. The war changed form. Now it's molecular, invisible, labeled as safe by the very institutions meant to protect you. But the outcome is the same: a body that breaks down too early, a mind clouded before it should be, and you keep paying for it. Processed foods became the modern altar of convenience. Packages lined up in glowing aisles, filled with flavors engineered to hook, textures designed to mimic freshness. Behind every low-fat, zero-sugar, natural flavor label hides a labyrinth of chemical additives, each one meticulously tested, not for long-term health, but for market performance. You've been ingesting compounds your grandparents couldn't even pronounce. And the most disturbing part? You're told they're good for you. Start with artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and acesulfame potassium. Marketed as miracle alternatives to sugar, they quietly reshape neurological pathways and alter gut microbiota with effects no one fully understands. Regulatory agencies green-lighted them based on studies often funded by the same corporations that stood to profit. Independent research frequently dismissed or buried. Some findings suggested links to cognitive issues, metabolic dysfunction, even certain cancers. But by the time these results surface, the public has already normalized their consumption. Colorants like tartrazine and sunset yellow, labeled as E102 and E110, are still used in cereals and snacks aimed at children. Both are associated with hyperactivity and allergic reactions, with increasing suspicion about carcinogenic potential. Yet their bright tones make food more appealing. Their removal would hurt sales, not health, so they remain, buried in small print. Then there are preservatives, sodium benzoate, nitrates, and nitrites, ostensibly there to prevent spoilage, but under certain conditions, like when mixed with ascorbic acid or exposed to high heat, these chemicals can transform into benzene, a known carcinogen. And still they're in your lunch meat, your soda, your salad dressing, because convenience always wins the argument in boardrooms, no matter what the data says. But perhaps the most insidious element isn't a single ingredient, it's the strategy, the systematic obfuscation. Companies exploit legal gray areas using umbrella terms like flavorings and spices to hide chemical cocktails. Ingredient names are often swapped with numbers, making them harder to trace. And those numbers, they follow a codex you were never meant to understand. If you do, it's already too late. Somewhere between the shelves and the regulatory panels, the question of safe became a matter of statistical thresholds. Not ethics, not truth. A compound is declared safe not because it's harmless, but because the damage it causes stays within acceptable limits. Acceptable to whom? Acceptable for what purpose? These numbers are negotiated, not revealed. Dose makes the poison, they say. But when the dose is daily, lifelong, and cumulative, the poison becomes policy. What they won't tell you is that many of these additives were approved decades ago, under frameworks that haven't caught up with the science. Re-evaluations are rare. Conflicts of interest are common. The burden of proof doesn't fall on the industry. It falls on you, to get sick first, to ask questions later. Meanwhile, the corporations shield themselves with a word, GRAS, generally recognized as safe, a regulatory loophole that lets companies self-determine whether an additive needs FDA review. Translation: you're eating experimental compounds and you didn't even sign the consent form. Look closer at the emulsifiers, those seemingly harmless agents that give texture to your ice cream, your sauces, your dressings. Carboxymethylcellulose, polysorbate 80. Sounds benign, but studies now suggest they can disrupt the gut lining, triggering inflammation and metabolic syndrome. Researchers warned of potential links to Crohn's disease and colorectal cancer, but the evidence is always not conclusive enough. Always just out of reach. Just enough doubt to keep them on the market. And then there's the issue of bioaccumulation, the long game. You're not just consuming additives, you're storing them in fat tissue, in organs. Some compounds, like certain synthetic antioxidants and plastic-derived contaminants used in food packaging, don't exit the body easily. Over time, they build up, layer upon layer, until symptoms surface that no one connects to what you've been eating, because no one taught you to look there. And those who do, silenced, discredited, or ignored. What's worse is the silence that surrounds it, a silence crafted by design. Influencers paid to promote healthier options that still carry hidden toxins. Magazines funded by ad dollars from processed food giants. Nutritionists trained using materials funded by the same industry they're supposed to question. The entire system is built to ensure you ask the wrong questions, or none at all. And yet, even now, the shelves remain stocked. The labels remain vague. The public remains unaware, or worse, grateful, thankful for the convenience, for the taste, for the illusion of health. There was a time when food was just food. Grown, harvested, prepared. Now it's been re-engineered into a product, optimized not for nourishment, but for shelf life, cost efficiency, and psychological manipulation. Every bite you take from a processed item carries within it not just synthetic compounds, but a blueprint of behavioral control. Hyper-palatable combinations of fat, sugar, and salt are meticulously calibrated to override satiety signals, pushing your biology into compulsion. It's not overeating, it's programming. Corporate scientists work hand in hand with behavioral experts to test formulations that generate maximum reward with minimum nutrition. They know exactly how your dopamine system reacts. They don't hope you'll crave it, they've ensured it. And the additives play their role. MSG, hidden under names like yeast extract or hydrolyzed protein, amplifies flavor intensity, masking the blandness of nutrient-deficient bases. Propylene glycol keeps products moist. Titanium dioxide makes them shine. What are these substances doing in your food? That's the wrong question. The real question is, why are they legal? Because the approval process isn't built to protect you. It's built to protect the market. And when studies threaten that market, the response is always the same. Delay, distract, discredit. Research that shows adverse effects is labeled inconclusive. Scientists who speak out are accused of alarmism. Journals receive pressure. Funding disappears. And in the meantime, the additives remain. Quiet, ubiquitous, profitable. Not even children are spared. In fact, they're targeted first. Cereals loaded with colorants linked to behavioral disorders, snacks laced with synthetic emulsifiers, soft drinks harboring chemical preservatives. These aren't accidents, they're calculated risks. Risks your children never agreed to, risks you never even saw coming, because the marketing was louder than the science. You might think regulatory agencies are watching. You'd be wrong. Many of them operate on outdated data, rubber stamping ingredients that were grandfathered in decades ago. The revolving door between industry and oversight ensures that critical decisions are often made by those with financial stakes in the outcome. And when adverse health trends emerge, rising autoimmune diseases, early onset cancers, metabolic epidemics, the search for causes rarely leads back to the plate. But that's where it begins. If this stays online, it means they missed it. If you're still watching, it means someone failed to pull the plug. The system relies on inertia, not just in policy, but in you. It counts on your fatigue, your routine, your acceptance. You've been trained to see food as benign, as background noise in the chaos of daily life. But beneath that packaging, beneath the flavor, is a supply chain of silent compromise. From lab to legislation to your plate, each step engineered to sustain profit, not health. And when symptoms arise, when chronic fatigue, digestive disorders, neurological inconsistencies start showing up, no one traces the thread back to the additives. The poisons are too normalized to suspect. There's a reason food labels look like legal documents, a reason natural flavors can mean anything but natural. These aren't mistakes, they're barriers, designed to make you surrender, because the longer it takes to understand what's inside your food, the less likely you are to resist it. It's not transparency, it's camouflage. Ask yourself why so many of these ingredients are banned in Europe, restricted in Japan, outlawed in other nations, yet still fill the shelves of American supermarkets. The answer is influence. Lobbyists, legal fictions, a regulatory culture that equates consumer safety with corporate stability. The FDA allows chemicals into the food supply, not because they're proven safe, but because they haven't yet been proven dangerous enough. It's not about prevention, it's about plausible deniability. And through it all, you keep thanking them. With every purchase, with every bite, with every trust you place in systems that were never built for you. The convenience they sold you came with a hidden tax: your health, your clarity, your future. There are messages buried in the language of ingredients, codes that only reveal themselves once it's too late. Save this while you still can. Not everything was meant to be seen, but here it is.